Hello and welcome to Walking the Earth Podcast, the podcast about the backpacking experience. I'm Justin Castle, calling in from New York, New York.
And I'm Mike Margulies, calling in today from Penang, Malaysia. And our guests are calling in from Santiago, Chile. We've got Lindsey and Tom on the line. Lindsey and Tom, how are you guys doing?
Welcome.
I'm doing really well, actually.
Doing great. Hi.
Nice to finally connect with you after our month or so of misconnections.
Yeah, we've been trying to do this call for some time, and I guess we've each had different technical difficulties with internet or just logistical things, and a lot of it was on my end, actually. But I guess we finally got together.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, what you guys are doing is pretty awesome. So you guys are in Santiago right now, and this weekend you're starting a journey where you're going to basically be walking 435 miles or 700 kilometers for our non-U.S. listeners, raising money to protect various parks in Chile. And it's pretty sounds like a pretty awesome little feat you're about to set off on.
Sounds incredible. What was it?
Hopefully it works out.
What was your inspiration for the voyage?
One of our inspirations definitely was one of our mutual friends from Scotland, who is a fellow adventurer and environmental scientist, Will Copestake, who also has a blog and does photography and everything, who advertised his expedition here, I guess, a little bit, that he's finished now, but he managed to, over the course of a year, solo circumnavigate Scotland's coast on a kayak and summit all 282 of Scotland's Munros, which are mountains over 3,000 feet.
Holy crap.
So he spent a year doing that, and he's definitely one of our good friends and inspirations for doing things like this.
Wow, that's holy crap. Hey, Mike, we got to get that guy on here, too.
Yeah, we should definitely.
Well, I can point him in your direction. I'm sure he'd be happy to do it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'll get that after the show. But what you guys are doing is no short feat. Like, that's no simple task. You're going 435 miles or 700 kilometers. And I looked at your route map, which I found on lindsey-and-tom.com, and that looks pretty treacherous. I mean, could you speak more about the terrain? It looks like it's going to be winter. It looks like there's mountains. It looks like it's going to be a lot of difficult transportation. How are you? What's the terrain like, and how are you going to navigate it? Let me put it that way.
All right. Well, Tom's pointing at me to talk, even though he's the one that put most of the route together. So I'll start it, but he'll probably have to finish this little section. We had to be... All right, so originally when we were trying to put together this expedition, we had no idea what exactly we wanted to do. Like, kayak the coast, walk all of Chile, do bicycle the whole thing. We had no idea.
Right.
And then kind of things started getting narrowed down because Chile is freakishly long. Like, you see it's long on a map, but we're still like, we can visit all of it, but you can't. You can't visit all of it. So we had to just start narrowing it down to what section we could walk and how far we could go. And it eventually became this Puerto Montt to Coyhaique. And even now we're still having, we are going to try to actually walk all those 435 miles, but there's a decent chance we're going to have to hitchhike part of it in order to make it back in time for our flights in September.
Whoa. So there is a deadline. Okay.
Yeah. So mid-August, we actually have a volunteering gig in the island of Chiloé. So we have to be down in Coyhaique at that point. So we've had to cut out a few of the mountains we wanted to summit in order to stay safe with what we can carry and in order to make the time in order to try and get all 435 actually on foot.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to put together because From Europe, or like from the States, you're kind of used to really good maps, detailed maps, 1 to 50,000, 1 to 25,000, with every little boulder and every little house on the map. It's like, you can navigate really easily. Here, it doesn't really exist. Like, the best I could get was 1 to 250,000 at the National Geographical Military Institute. And they are topographical maps, the only ones I've managed to find in all of Santiago.
Wow.
And some of the mountains along the route are just blank spaces. I mean, they're just white spots that just say no data. And so definitely
crap.
there's a lot of potential for explorations. There's a lot of unclimbed mountains down in the south. There's a lot of first summits to be had. And
this is not the expedition for it, unfortunately.
Walking 450 miles, unfortunately, doesn't allow us to carry any climbing gear, so this is not what we're going to do.
Right.
But it's kind of just like gives the idea of what's down there, and it'll be winter down there, and we will be at least carrying snowshoes because there will probably be a lot of snow in the mountains.
Yeah.
And we still want to climb some, even though we want to stay safe, and
yeah.
We will be sticking to some valleys and stuff, but we do still want to climb some mountains, so
yeah.
it's still in the plan.
I think the winter thing makes it even more, so it's June, so in the U.S. and everything, right, it's summertime, and in Europe, but yeah, in South America, it's winter now, and you guys were telling us before the call, even where you are now, you're already, before you even started this trek, you're already kind of like feeling the effects of this winter. You're wearing all your clothes indoors, and so I can only imagine while you're trekking out through the wilderness, you're gonna have to face the elements even more.
Yeah, definitely. It's not as much as the cold that we're concerned about. It's mostly the rain. It's down south, not in the mountains, but down in the valleys and in the forest. It's the temperate Valdivian rainforest, which is, human-sized ferns, bamboos, and, the tallest trees in South America. Something along the line you would find in, the Olympic Peninsula in the Pacific Northwest in the States. Very rainy.
Wait, so that's going to be rainy this time of the season still? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes, down in the valleys, it'll be rainy and green, and up in the mountains, it'll be cold and snowy.
Okay. Yeah. So it'll still be, what kind of temperatures are we talking about difference between the valleys versus the peaks? Like, what can you give us a feel of that?
Down in the valleys, looking probably something 35, 40 degrees, something close to freezing, but hanging just around there. Up in the mountains, below 32, freezing all the time.
Oh God. Okay, now I understand why the rain would suck, because that's cold rain. That's
because it'll be rainy and it'll freeze.
Mike, I heard you talking.
And maybe you guys can bring a snowboard or skis and like ski your way down the slopes back to, when you're at the top, ski your way down.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely love to do that. Do some long ski touring expedition and just stay on skis for a couple of weeks. But with the situation, you have to get down to the valleys to cross some things. You have to go this way and that. It's like, it's not that everything's covered in snow. There's forests in the way. So
or rivers or rocks.
Yeah, I gotcha. I mean, I
definitely plan for someday, like you said before, go like Antarctica or something, do some long skiing expedition. But yeah, this environment doesn't really allow that.
Unfortunately,
yeah, I gotcha. That's
you don't
really
hit a tree or something.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think the farthest I've ever walked was like in a day, maybe like 10 or so miles. I don't know. It sounds really insignificant, but
well, I mean, we're not going to be walking any more than
10 miles.
10 miles a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
maybe less, maybe more, but probably not.
Oh, okay. But the thing is, like, you guys have to carry all your food. You have to carry your food. You have to carry your, I'm assuming you're camping. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you got food, you've got camping supplies, you've got I don't know, cooking supplies.
Clothing,
Yeah, what
tents. Right now, all of our stuff, we recently rainproofed it again, so it's all drying. Hopefully, it'll be dry by Sunday when we leave.
You rainproofed
Sunday's
it?
in
Oh,
3 days.
what do you mean you rainproofed it? Like you have
Well,
a coating on it or something?
well, yeah. So all of our jackets and pants and stuff are getting a little old, so we bought some new waterproofing liquid, and we washed all of our stuff
Oh.
with it. So hopefully now it's all renewed, and hopefully Sunday our leaving
Wow.
departure date is in 3 days. So hopefully it'll be dry by then. It's been
I
raining the last 2 days, which hasn't helped with drying.
I didn't even
But
know that existed. So you can like wash your stuff in a rainproofing liquid of some sort, and then you'll have waterproof stuff.
Yeah, well, it has to be stuff that has been waterproof before, like Gore-Tex and kind of
Right.
outdoor clothes like these. But over time, like the waterproofing Gore-Tex and everything, it kind of wears
Yeah.
away, and you have to renew it from time to time. Some people do it like run it for a little bit in drier and hot temperature and melt it a little bit to re-waterproof it. Sometimes that works, or like some recommend like ironing it a little bit, but they sell waterproofing treatments that you can spray on or wash in or stuff like to kind of renew the waterproofness
I gotcha.
of the Gore-Tex clothes and
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that I have seen that before. Actually, I need to do that to one of my jackets. So I need exactly what you have. I need to go like a Eastern Mountain Sports Supply or something like that.
Yeah.
But Mike,
yeah, they should definitely have those things.
yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, Mike.
Tom, I'm also wondering. It sounded like you've done this kind of you've done trekking sort of adventures like this before. Not quite like this, but it sounds like in Europe you were doing when it was better mapped and everything. You've done these kind of adventures previously.
Not quite like this. Yeah, I've never
Right,
done.
not quite like this.
2 months of camping or 2 months of winter camping. The most hiking, like camping, probably 8 to 10 days.
Okay.
And I mean, in Scotland, it's there's tough conditions there, so definitely some micro navigation, and whiteouts and night navigation and things like this. So the mountains in Scotland are not very high, but are quite treacherous and kind of hard to navigate. So navigation is a big part of doing mountains in Scotland, and everybody places a lot of importance on that aspect.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
I'm thankful for, because I can navigate, but not nearly as well as Tom can.
Okay. And I kind of want to give everybody who's listening a little bit of context. So Lindsey, I know that you've gone to school. You've done, I think, environmental studies. Is that correct? Environmental sciences.
Yeah, environmental science and environmental education.
So you're somewhat familiar. You're pretty familiar with being out, camping, be amongst the natural elements and things like that. What's your experiences of going camping, hiking, and the winter climates also?
The winter climate is actually not something I've done a lot in. I mean, gone skiing for a day or two, sure, but I've actually haven't really done much winter camping. I've done kind of the 3 seasons, spring to fall sort of stuff. But I don't know, kind of like Tom, 8 to 10 days is the longest I've done before. So this will definitely be pushing things a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to blow that out of the water. Holy crap. But
I mean, it's a lot of the same gear. It's just for a lot longer.
Right.
A trip for 3 days, you have to carry pretty much all the same gear as a trip for 2 months. You just need to have a bit more logistics as far as like a satellite phone type thing and mailing your food ahead of where you're going.
Right. So is that what you're doing for food? You're going to coordinate all of that ahead of time?
Yeah, we actually have been putting boxes together. We have 4 packages that we're sending out. at different stops along the way, where they're going to be held either at the post office if we were able to contact the post office directly, or in one case they are being held at a hotel that we're or a
Yeah, kind of
hostel
hostel
place that we're going to spend a night in exchange for him holding onto our package for a few weeks.
Oh, okay, cool. All right,
That's a neat way to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely been an interesting experience trying to coordinate all this in the last couple of days in Spanish because.
Well, Tom's Spanish is pretty good. Mine's not, but.
But yeah, we've been putting packages of food and organizing all that for about the last week, and I don't know, during the last week we've been realizing how much like last minute we've left everything, and we have 4 boxes of food, and when I called like some post offices before, like yeah, sure, we can hold your package there for a couple of weeks, and when we went to the post office here in Santiago today, they said. Oh, no, they can't hold it for more than 7 days. That's against the protocol, and it's like. Just
Whoa.
7 days, and after that, the package returns.
Whoa.
No, it can't return. Like we have probably more than $300 worth of food that we've been buying, and like it's gonna cost us, more than $100 probably to send all the
our life
packages.
is gonna depend on the food.
Yeah,
Holy
exactly.
crap!
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a thing in Chile is basically everybody in Santiago will tell you that Santiago is the worst place to get to know Chile. It is the capital, and it is like notoriously any capital. People from all over the country kind of look down on the people in the capital, and it's a busy life. It's a city. It's a big city, and people in other places are usually, well, they are and are known to be a lot more friendly than people are here.
Okay.
So we felt we had a lot more chances of success dealing with people down south, with the post offices down there, and not listening to the post office in the main square of Santiago.
Right.
And
yeah. So Tom today, after the Santiago, we carried 2 of our very large packages through the metro to the center of Santiago to go to the post office. And after we got there, we were told that no, they can't be held for more than 7 days. So we took our large, heavy packages back to the metro and back home. And then we called the post offices and the hostel and whatnot down south and told them our situation. And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. We can hold it for however long you need it. Like, that's
cool.
fine.
So it worked out. That's good.
Yeah, just ignore Santiago, talk to the people directly, and make it happen.
There you go. That's cool. Now, that you guys started touching on Santiago and Chile overall. Like, what are your experiences? Like, I know, Tom, you've been living in Chile for a while because of your exchange program, right? What have been your experiences overall in Chile? The people, are they very friendly? Are you getting along very well? Have you made friends down there?
Yeah, I might be planning a trip to South America next year, so I'm gonna be all ears here.
Yeah, any tips you got?
Yeah, definitely. I can give you some recommendations. I've been living in Santiago since February, I've been here for 4 months now, and I've quite mixed experiences. I mean, I really like it here. The people are nice. I've met wonderful people. I've climbed mountains around Santiago, but at the same time, I mean, it is a huge city. And over 5 million people live here, close to 6 million.
Huh.
And I've never, ever lived in a place like this. I mean, I'm from a town of about 50,000 people. I went to high school and to college and to university and, in towns similar that size. I've always lived somewhere that's, below 10,000, no more than 50,000 people. So being in a place like this freaks me out. It is ridiculous. I mean, I've visited big cities, but no more than for a couple days.
I gotcha.
So for you, a lot of the culture shock is just
here,
the big city aspect of it, more so than just like being in South America.
Yeah.
Just being in a big city in general is just like a crazy, experience.
In general, yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, definitely the culture shock in South America. Well, I'm sure the culture shock in South America and places up north, Peru and Bolivia, where I'd very much like to go, is a lot bigger than here in Chile. Like, Chile is the most developed country in Latin America, and it is very, very West.
Is it? Oh, okay.
It is it like especially. I mean, I haven't had a chance to be much out of Santiago, which is another reason why I'm really looking forward to spending 2 months down south and meeting the people there and the small farms and the small
Right.
villages. And at the end of the expedition, I'm just gonna trail off on all sorts of things over here. At the end of the expedition, we have 2-week volunteering program with natural reserves and a small Mapuche, which are the native people of Chile and Chile and Argentina in Latin America, like Mapuche, native people here. So we have a 2-week volunteering program with them with a small community.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I'm really looking forward to these things. And living in Santiago has been the complete opposite. Very Western experience, big city, European American like, and hectic.
Yeah.
I mean, getting on the metro to get to university every day at 8, 9 a.m. in the morning in the rush hour, where it's like the pictures you see like only in Japan or something, where it's like crowds of people stuffing into metro, and you get shoved around here and there. It's like you have no control over where you go, and you just get like sucked into the crowd and smashed into the metro, and
Wow, it's that crowded there.
pushed against the door. So yeah, definitely in the rush hour, it's super crowded, and you might have to let 2, 3, 4 trains pass before you get to
I
get on
gotcha.
one.
Holy shit.
I didn't realize that.
So that definitely for me has been an interesting experience and something I don't know if I'd want to repeat ever in my life, living in a place like this for a long time.
That
like
makes sense for you guys because you're very, you guys are very, very much outdoors oriented. You guys like to go hiking, you like to go camping, you like to go mountain climbing. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I get it. I get it. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you in New York is, you must be used to this. I've written on the blog, like people in big cities might say, Santiago is not that big and it's not that big of a deal, but for me, it's just out of the water. It's just.
And you know what? Here's something I'll say. I understand. I totally understand. I went on a trip this past weekend to New Hampshire in New England for international listeners, but it was a good 6 hours away in a car, and I got away from the city and the smog and the people, and it was a beautiful weekend. And I must say that is so relaxing and such a great. I miss having the ability. I don't have a car anymore. I miss the ability to be able to go and just be in the wilderness or not even the wilderness, just like suburbia would be fine,
Being in some more nature than you are in the concrete jungle.
Yeah, honestly, exactly. So I can definitely relate. There's times when I'm like, wow, there's so much concrete and it smells like urine so badly. Why?
Yeah, I can relate to that here in Santiago, I'm sure.
Yeah, here it's dog poop, so that's what you
a lot
get
of
in
a
Santiago.
lot of stray dogs, I guess.
Lots of stray dogs in Chile.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of
They're
Chile,
everywhere.
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 Yeah. Lots of stray dogs in Southeast Asia also.
Where's PETA? Where's PETA when you need them? Where are they?
No, they're cool, man. I love the stray dogs. They're just friendly. They just want to be your friend, They're just, or they want food also, but.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, they're great over here too. I actually have one good story that is kind of an extreme stray dog, but we went to the mountains a couple of weeks ago, and it was the first snowstorm of the season. And we were a bit worried about avalanches and everything. The trail was snowed out. And at the beginning of the hike, just a dog joined us. And he stayed with us the whole 4 days in the mountains. He showed us the way. When we lost the trail, he kind of just spearheaded the march.
No way.
And, we just followed in his trail. And
Yeah.
we just followed in his trail. And it was always the best trail. Where the dog went. Just don't know where to go, follow the dog.
That's awesome.
And so we're just 4 days in the mountains, I don't know, 10 miles into this valley, just completely out of civilization. Dog just went with us, and, he didn't even beg for food. I mean, he went off hunting rats and rabbits and everything, and at the night he trotted away and dug himself a hole in the snow and slept there away. In the morning, he joined us again. He just ran around all day, hunted things, and came all the way down with us again, like on the fourth day. It was
That
fantastic.
Oh, that's
is
awesome.
so cool. That is.
You made like a friend and a guide.
Yeah, like the best guide you could have.
Yeah.
Have you? I have a question.
Like, I just wanted to take him home.
Have you ever seen that documentary about the guy Timothy Treadwell? Have you guys seen that?
I haven't.
No? It's about this guy. He's a bear enthusiast. Lindsey and Tom, are you guys still there?
Oh, did we lose them?
I think we lost them. All right, we'll be right back. We're having technical difficulties. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Sorry, we lost Tom and Lindsey. Technical difficulties, but basically,
These are these are the challenges that we face regularly doing a travel podcast, I guess.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yes, it's sometimes a pain in the ass. But
yeah, that's what we were originally worried about. That we were kind of glad before if we were gonna do it, like both me and Lindsey being in separate places, because we both had awful internet. So if one of us dropped out, we could at least one of us still stay on the line.
Right. I don't know. I guess it's kind of like it's kind of nice that you guys are in the same room and you get to have you both at the same time.
It's nice that way.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot easier because we can decide who's going to talk before, trying to fill in. So.
Right. Instead of having to telepathically sense between 4 people in 4 different rooms in 4 different countries who's going to talk. Yeah. So, but that's listeners, that's the magic of travel podcasting. You're connecting different countries and different places. So deal with it.
Yeah, this is pretty amazing, the fact that we can make this happen from 3 different continents.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I apparently I was talking to Michael. Apparently I guess we're fairly cutting edge, for being a low budget, podcast that we self-produce. Because I don't know.
Maybe. Sometimes I just got the connection lost for a few minutes, and I'm like, man, are we?
I mean, but...
Oh, yes, this is what you got to do when you travel. I mean, there's not always cutting-edge internet.
Yeah, what you guys do is great.
Speaking of cutting edge, I did want to say this. Mike, you were really excited to hear about this, that you're accepting donations for your trip, which cutting edge technology allows us to talk about because you guys are in Chile. You guys are doing something pretty awesome with cryptocurrencies. Mike, I know you had a bunch of questions.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, so yeah, I'm not an expert on any of the cryptocurrencies by any means, but yeah, I think it's really cool what you're doing, though. I mean, I think it's an exciting area, this whole Bitcoin thing, and it'll be cool to see how it all shakes out. But I know you guys probably know a lot more about it and have a lot more opinion on it than I do. So I'm interested to get your perspective. So what's motivating you guys to use these cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, it is one of the ways we're trying to raise money, and it's not only to raise money, but it's also to raise awareness of these cryptocurrencies. When with people who don't know a thing about them. So when we do our talks about the expedition or whatever, we're gonna try to incorporate this because, well, Lindsey's not entirely as on board as I am, but I personally love cryptocurrencies and what they're doing and what they allow us to do. Especially, well, Bitcoin is the biggest one, and we don't know which one is going to survive, which one is going to make it, but Bitcoin is, right now the biggest one, the most popular one.
Right.
And it allows us to do amazing things. It eliminates the middleman. Eliminates the middleman. The bank eliminates the fees and allows you to trade or send money to anyone, anywhere in the world, super easily. With your computer, with your smartphone, within seconds, you can send. It's so easy. You just scan a QR code with your smartphone, and you can pay, a small organic farmer in Peru, which which is one of the people that like started using cryptocurrencies. Farmers in third world countries and places like that, because
Really?
it's so easy for them to set up because all these people have smartphones now.
I was
And it's a fantastic technology that allows. It's just so incredibly easy.
Tom, I wasn't aware of small farmers really using this technology. Where did you hear about that? Did you experience that yourself, or did you read up on it somewhere?
I've read an article about it on the Bitcoin subreddit. On Reddit, there's there's all sorts of Bitcoin related news, and one of the articles a while back was about farmers adopting Bitcoin for money transfers, where banks are not easily available, where it's easier for them to do it in Bitcoin.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I think the other thing I'd like about Bitcoin is that it is not controlled or regulated by any government or organization.
Exactly.
It's an actual like free market currency. And it'll be very interesting to see.
It's a peer-to-peer currency. It is, yeah.
Yeah. It's we talk all this stuff about free markets and this and that and the other thing, but do we have free markets when we've got governments regulating the currencies and regulating interest rates and this, that, and the other thing, constantly regulating? It's like, and so this is actually that. Possibly, if it does kind of, all it takes is enough. It gets enough traction, right? And I guess that's part of what you guys are doing is raising the awareness of these new ways of exchanging money.
It definitely part of why we were thinking of accepting it. Well, it was Tom's original idea, him being the big cryptocurrency supporter. But I'm getting on the boat, and what really started selling me on it is the fact that like Tom is originally from the Czech Republic. And he goes to school in Scotland, has a bunch of friends in the United States. Like, I grew up in the United States, and, like, we're raising money for the Conservation Land Trust, which is based in Chile and Argentina. And so it's, like, so many different countries and communities that we're trying to, like, pull together for this project. And so it just makes it really easy trying to raise awareness of, like, an international currency, essentially. So, like, we don't have to lose as much in, like, international fees and transfers and currency exchanges. So it's just really cool that can happen and that it can be used for philanthropy.
That is what is getting long term, presumably,
it's cryptocurrency bandwagon.
Yeah. And it should be maybe even protected against inflation as well, versus other, the U.S. dollar they constantly just printing arbitrarily more money, and so we have inflation and these kind of things.
Basically, what Bitcoin is, or what all these cryptocurrencies are, deflationary. That they're all deflation based, and so there is a limited amount of Bitcoin by the year, about 50 years from now or something. All the Bitcoins will have been mined out. They are generated by mining them with your CPUs or GPUs, most of them, or the most efficient way to mine them. And you have to mine these blocks of them, and that's how they're generated from the blockchain. But there is a limited number, and with limited number, it means it causes deflation because you can't have more of them.
Right.
And so that's what some people argue as a counterpoint against the currency, but I don't really see it that way. I think it's a big bonus. I think it's a big plus for the currency.
Yeah, I mean it's finite. It's finite, and it doesn't really, to be honest, it doesn't really matter, because then you'll just keep dividing it by fraction and fraction and fraction, and then a fraction of a Bitcoin, a micro Bitcoin will be a set amount, and we'll just start trading that instead of a full Bitcoin. Or
exactly. No one says that 1 Bitcoin has to be the smallest amount. When Bitcoin was a couple months ago, when Bitcoin was $1,000 and 1 micro Bitcoin was $1, then people started trading or regarding it in micro Bitcoins.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, well, in fact, right now I own zero point 0.1 bitcoins. I was just trying to test it out and see, testing the waters. And so, yeah, you don't have to trade in just full bitcoins. You can do as whatever denomination you want of it.
How much did that cost you, Mikey?
When I bought, it was $75 for point. So bitcoins were trading for $7.50 a piece. So I bought 0.1 for 75. I don't know what it is right now. This was a few months back.
Okay.
It's pretty volatile. At the moment, it's pretty volatile because you're comparing Bitcoin against like U.S. dollar, and so it's
Right.
just the thing hasn't really settled out yet. And I don't,
Right.
yeah, so
Who knows?
maybe
if
that's
it
a
ever
reflection
will.
of the other currencies that are volatile. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I also wanted to clarify for people who don't know what mining is. Basically, you can also, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but I looked into this a little bit. You can mine for bitcoins by basically by extending their network. I believe, is that correct? You put up a little CPU and you can extend their network and accessibility to different areas by just hosting, basically a part of the Bitcoin network, and you in turn the system pays you by fractions of bitcoins for how much memory and storage or you've expanded their network, and then eventually you can keep getting more over time, and eventually you get a full bitcoin, hopefully, and then you can trade it. Is that the right way? Did I explain that correctly?
That wouldn't be mining. I haven't actually heard about this method, but mining is a different thing. You have to uncover these blocks in the blockchain of Bitcoin, and that
All right, Lev, what's a blockchain? I don't actually know what that is.
the blockchain is the mathematical algorithm, the data that's like what
super
the currency
confusing.
is based on. Each cryptocurrency, each cryptocurrency has a different one, has a slight based on a different algorithm, and is mined slightly differently, but they're based off of each other.
Yeah, it's over my head.
Yeah,
I know
you use
that.
these words. Never mind this. You can use your GPU to mine the blocks off of the blockchain to discover Bitcoin,
Right.
and
I thought.
It floats
Right
from
now-
the internet.
Bi-
It
bi-
floats
bi-
from the internet, and you can use your computer to find it. That's how I think
Yeah.
about it.
you can think about it like that. And Bitcoin was really easy to mine a couple years ago, 2007, 2008. Right now, you can't really affordably do it at home. You'd have to invest into, huge GPU stations and massive kind of server-like stations to mine it. And right now, it's not really financially feasible anymore for individuals to mine Bitcoin. Right now, what are some people arguing about? Like, what the negative aspect of the currency is that big kind of companies are getting into it, and it's going to kind of monopolize that, big structures and servers are, getting the monopoly on Bitcoin, getting the majority of the mining and the control over the currency.
Yeah.
But we don't want to get too into that.
Because they have
I
massive.
think we've already gone too in.
Yeah.
We've gone too far.
Basically,
It's too
it's because
deep.
they have
It's too
massive
deep.
computing power. But we'll continue.
Yeah.
We'll continue it some other time. But basically, I think I completely misunderstood mining based on what you're telling me. Because I thought I completely effed that one
I like
up.
your version better. I like your version better. It sounds a lot simpler. Let's just go with that one.
That's
Yeah.
why. That's why
the
I
mining
thought it
aspect is it's definitely over my head. I think the key to it though is that over time it becomes harder to mine the bitcoins. So you won't have just more and more bitcoins just appearing all the time. You have less and less appearing over time. And I think that's kind of the big point of it.
Right.
No, yeah, it's kind of like it's a logarithmic scale where less and less appears
It's
over
like
time.
a real mine that eventually you run out.
Yeah.
How about that?
You got it. You got it.
Exactly.
All right. So
We're just gonna cut Tom out of this one for a little bit.
so nobody listen to what I
Yeah,
said.
let's talk about the
let's get back.
outdoors and things.
So basically, if you're interested, you can donate bitcoins. You can donate cash. You can do it in cashier's checks, and just go to lindsey-and-tom.com, and you can definitely support them and their journeys throughout.
And they'll have
Chile.
some kind of big button in their homepage for the donate. I don't know, by the time this thing airs.
Yes.
And that money, by the way, so it's going towards the Conservation Land Trust. to protect the national parks in Chile. Is that right?
Yes, I'm going to explain a bit on that since we got around to this. The Conservation Land Trust is a private organization based in the United States. It's an effort of actually the founder of North Face, Tompkins, one of the founders, and it's a network of private parks in Chile and Argentina, and their goal is to convert these private parks into national parks, to give them over to the government and convert them into national parks. And one of them, the most recent one, happened, Parque Corcovado in Chile, happened in 2006. It's the newest and sixth largest park in Chile, and with joint effort of the private lands that donated and the surrounding land from the federal government, from the military, that they agreed they would donate if the private lands were donated, created the sixth largest national park in Chile with the effort of the Conservation Land Trust. So this is what they're doing. They have some amazing parks down south. We're going to be visiting one or hopefully two of them. They have organic farming, they have beekeeping, they have orchards, and they have, untouched wilderness. And they do amazing things with the parks.
That's awesome.
So 80% of anything we raise, and hopefully more, will go towards that, the Conservation Land Trust. 10% is going to go towards the University of Stirling Mountaineering Club in Scotland, which will go towards training more mountaineers and adventurers to try and get more people out doing projects, hopefully like ours, with lots of cool aspects involved in them, if I say so myself.
Yeah.
And 10% is going to go towards covering a bit of our expedition expenses. And if we raise enough to cover our expedition expenses, then that 10% will also go towards the Conservation Land Trust. So our goal is to have more than 80% of everything donated to the Conservation Land Trust. And for sure, at least 90% of everything donated will go. Any fees that we incur due to international exchange or PayPal or whatever will come out of our 10%. So guaranteed 90% donated.
Wow. Okay.
Sweet.
Very cool.
Yeah, so if you have Bitcoins or other cryptocurrencies or good old-fashioned dollars through PayPal, you can donate to that cause at lindsey-and-tom.com.
Very cool.
Excellent.
Well, I think it's about that time. So for each of you individually, I'm going to ask you this question. This is a question we ask every single one of our guests.
Okay.
And I'm curious at what each of you are going to have, because you both like similar things, but you also like different things. You're very technical, Tom, while Lindsey, you're very down to earth, and you very much know your environment and science very well. So it's going to be very interesting. What is, for each of you, one thing that you want to do before you die?
Oof.
Who goes first?
I don't know. One
Flip
thing.
a coin.
Oh, God. So many things just came into my head. I don't
Just
even
one of
know where
them.
to start.
Yeah, anything.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I think I came up with one. I picked
Okay.
one out of the many that came into my head.
Okay, go first. I went
Okay.
first before.
Okay. So I would like to, I talked about this with you guys, I think, before we started recording. So during my undergraduate, when I was studying environmental science, I was able to go for a month to a science station out in Arctic Siberia. And that's where I learned that I love studying Arctic botany. And that's now what I want to do with my life. But
Yeah.
at the time, I didn't know that's what I wanted to do when I first got there. And so by the time I left, I knew that was what I loved. And I had so many questions about the place that I wanted to research and discover and learn about. And then I had to leave. So now I have all of these questions and I can't get back there. So I want to return to Chersky, Russia, and answer or look into all of my questions. That's something I want to do with my life.
Amazing. That's
Sweet.
amazing.
Sweet.
Arctic botany. Again, when you said that before, I'd never really heard of that. And I think that now that you describe it, I just imagine these beautiful crystallized plants and you just want to take him home and put him in like one of those shaking globes that has little snowflakes coming down.
I love that picture. I'm just gonna keep that picture.
Okay,
That's
awesome.
wonderful.
All right, Mr. Tom.
For me, I guess one thing I would really, really love to do, or I'm hoping, except for, all the travels and climbing mountains or whatever, have a small organic homestead farm, kind of off the grid, self-sufficient, solar powered, wind powered with, permaculture kind of place where, community supported agriculture and all the jazz. Raise all our own food, grow all our own food, and have that. Not rely on the industrial kind of chain of food produce and everything.
Very cool.
Like a self-sustaining community kind of thing.
Self-sustainable community, yes.
That's cool.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
Very
that's
cool.
neat.
Awesome. Well, thank you both very much. It's been awesome getting to chat with you. I can't believe it's like just shy of an hour.
Well, along with technical difficulties.
Yeah.
No, a few minutes of that too.
No,
Yeah, this has been tons of fun. I'm glad we could finally find the time to all get together in
Yeah,
our various corners
yeah.
of
Yes, excellent.
Podcasts are great. I'm having a great time.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah, thank you guys for coming on to the show. It's been really interesting hearing about what you're doing
Yes, thanks very much.
We wish
and also learning about these cryptocurrencies too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we dedicated a bit too much time to that.
It happens. It's a heated subject. So, but for our listeners out there, you can go to Lindsey, EY dash and dash.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, we're back.
Oh, we're back. Okay.
But now we're ending.
Okay,
so
so we're basically going to wrap it up and thank you guys again. If you guys would like to contribute to Lindsey and Tom's voyage, you can go Bitcoin, you can go Dogecoin, any kind of coin you want. And again, it's Lindsey.
Super Mario coin.
Super Mario coin. Boop, boing. This is by stepping on a turtle. Go to Lindsey, that's EY and Tom.com and contribute there. For now, this is Justin Castle from New York City.
And I'm Mike Margulies, calling from Malaysia.
Lindsey and Tom in Santiago.
Thanks for listening to Walking the Earth podcast. You can find us online at WTEpodcast.com. There, you'll find links to SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Twitter, and Facebook. Again, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.